Answer char from Creatively, and we've already had like two false starts so far. So let's see how far this goes. Anyway, I'm going to be trimming mugs I'm going to be trimming slabs which are going to be turned into mugs. And you're welcome to join me. I have around 48 mugs to trim up, and I hope I'll be done soon enough. So if you have any questions, which are going to be turned into mugs, and you don't need to hear my echo, so let's take care of that. So yeah, if you have any questions along the way, let me know. And I'm just posting the link for my Patreon page. If you enjoy my live streams, and you can subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon to get notified, or you can even support me by joining my Patreon page. The link is down below. So let's get started. How about that? Let me change my view. You can see the hanging monkey out. And this is going to be mostly chit chat because I think many of you have seen me make my mugs and trim my mugs for a very long time. I don't know if you need to see a close up of that again. If you do, let me know. I will change the camera settings. Okay? Thanks. Or maybe I should. I feel awkward if I'm not showing you what I'm doing. Let's see. Are you all ready for some big camera shakes? I'm going to get my camera view close by. You would imagine I would be more prepared for this, but no, I just decided to go live, so that's the way things happen. No plans. I'm gathering all the things that I need. Okay, so people who have joined in, let me know if you want to see the camera angle of what's happening rather than watching me chat. Either way is fine. Either way is fine with me. Gathering all my tools, I need my roller and I need my knife for trimming up everything. We got that, we got that. I got a slabs of clay out here. Now let me actually be nice to you folks, and maybe you see what I'm doing rather than see me chat. Okay, I think that'd be a much more interesting view of what's happening, and you can see my dirty floor this way too. Okay, there we go. So those are the slabs I'm going to be working on. There. These are the mugs I kind of got ready yesterday, the slabs. They're not mugs yet, but I was trying to motivate myself to get ready for the next upcoming show. Well, there are actually two of them. One of them is virtual, which is the Lambtown Festival, and I'll put a link uh, about that later. But the one which I was really trying to get ready for and have inventory for was Fiber Fusion, which was going to happen in Monroe in mid October. So I was in two minds whether the show would happen or not. Means I was hopeful since there was, all positive news coming as to, hey, get excited about the show, sign up. I even signed up to do a demo on spinning my beehive yarn at the show. But and I said, okay, I need to get motivated to make mugs, and there wasn't much time. I didn't have that much stock, and I said, I need to get at least three firings done before that show. And usually I'm doing two firings or so within a month, and I needed to do at least three or more firings. So I said, okay, that's almost impossible to get done, but I said the only way to get it done is to get started. So yesterday, I just said, okay, I'm just gonna go for it. I'm gonna plan on making 100 mugs. Started prepping up the clay, rolling out the slabs, well, extruding the slabs, and I think I had maybe slabs for 20 mugs or something down, and I heard that the show has been cancelled. So that was quite disheartening. But so instead of making 100 mugs, I said, okay, let's at least make 50. Or I get 48 mugs out of 3 bags of clay. Let's just do that. So that's what I'm doing. And I had earlier thought I would make so many of these kinds of mugs or those kinds of mugs. And I just want to do something plain, simple, good old stockinette. So I'm doing a bunch of those. I did add some the fine knit color stripe mugs, and I do have some which are actually in stock, but I haven't listed them on the website yet. I'll most likely do it for the Patreons today or tomorrow, and after giving them some time to purchase the mugs that they want, I will list the rest for everyone to purchase. They're mostly the color stripe mugs. There are a few of the plain knit mugs in there, but most of them are color stripe mugs, which are going to be ready to ship out. So that's what the plan is. So what is everyone else up to? Trimming and stacking, trimming and stacking, that's what's going on. I did have a request from some of my Patreons to bring back some thrown bowls, which are thrown on the wheel, and I might actually do that. I used to do those very often earlier, and I just stopped doing that. But I suddenly feel like doing something different, so maybe I'll do some throwing on the wheel for a change. I hope you all can hear me. If every now and then there is this thing where no, I'm sure it was picking up my sound because I could hear my echo earlier. So I know it's working. So I'm halfway done with this pile. Hey Lizette, from California. How are the fires treating you this year? I just heard on the radio that there was, I think it was Lake Tahoe or somewhere where again there are fire issues happening. At least it's not as bad as last year, I hope. Oh, your county is where the Caldo fires people. That's not good. Last year I remember it was so bad that cities everywhere it really had orange skies even out here in Washington. Uh, the air quality was really bad. This year we had like maybe 3 or 4 days where it was really bad. I hope your family is safe and you're not in harm's way and things are under control. I'm going full speed ahead on these. Yeah, lots of smoke. Yeah, at least you're safe. And after last year's, you know, smoke and air quality, we were very tempted to get an air purifier for our house. We did get an air conditioner, you know, just what do you call this? The movable kinds. Hi, Kimberly. So we did get one of those in April this year because it got very warm even in April, much more than what we expected, and had a feeling that the summers might be even worse, and we hit record highs this year. And we're glad we got that air conditioning, and it it really helped. And the main reason we got it was actually because of the fires. Because last year, when the air quality was so bad, usually we leave our window open and it's cool enough. But in the summer last year, we couldn't even do that because the air quality was so bad. So we're like, this year, let's have an air conditioner at least. So that's what we got. You got a medical grade air filter, that's good. Yeah. Yeah, especially if you're living in such close quarters to where there are fires and smoke, getting good air filter is a good idea. I remember last year what we did is we just had one of those the box fans, and we just kept it in the house, not against the window or anything. All windows were closed, and we kept a filter behind it, like a regular air filter. And once, we used to run it like almost all day long, and the back, the back of that filter had, in a day it was just turning so dark gray that that the air in the house was not good either. Okay, smoke isn't bad for you, Kimberly. That's good. I was talking earlier about one of our shows got cancelled, just happening in mid-October. That was super annoying. I was making all these months for that show. Just got a message from people pitching me that. Lizard just sent me pictures of one of my tumblers. I haven't made those in a while. Oh, thank you so much, Lizard. I appreciate that. Yeah, those tumblers, um, like I had made them a while back, and I think in the middle every now and then I would bring them back, but not. Haven't done that. I should bring those back. Those look nice. Your fair got canceled, Kimberly. I'm sorry to hear that. I had this feeling that our show would get cancelled as well, but like everything else was happening, like a Washington State Fair happened. So I was like, okay, if that is happening, then maybe it's a go. But it was I was finding it real, to be honest, I was finding it really hard to motivate myself to make stuff for the show, because it has happened before that I have prepared stuff and then stuff has gotten cancelled, so I'm like, I don't want to go through that again. So yesterday I kept debating whether to get in the swing of things because the show is a month away and I needed inventory. I didn't have much for the show. So I finally in the afternoon said, I'm just gonna go for it. I'm gonna make 100 knots. And I got all my clay ready and I'm like rolling out slabs and everything. And like I was like, I mean, I had enough slabs prepared for like 20 months or something. And I got the news that no, show is cancelled. Hey Dijon, you finally joined. You got your YouTube notification, looks like. But today I'm not quilting. I'm doing the boring task of making mugs, which are all meant to go for the show in mid-October, and now they just go for my shop update. I am going to have a shop update tomorrow most likely. So, did you? I'm curious to know. So did you have to, click on that bell icon to get those notifications on YouTube, and only then you got a notification, or you didn't do anything different, but you still knew I was online? I am curious to know what actually works because looking at other um, YouTube videos, I see people tell that, oh, click the icon, and that's how I get to know when other people are live and they have uploaded a new video. So I think that should work. Oh, you're spinning Rolex on your Sparrow? Nice. Did you prepare the Rolex? I know you were talking about doing something with Rolex recently. Next pile of mugs. Oh, it was the bell. Yeah, the bell helps. Yeah, the bell icon is the thing which sends the notifications, I think. And I think if you only subscribe and don't have the bell icon, then it's usually whenever you log on to your YouTube, it will tell you that, oh, your subscriber had loaded up. Oh, you pull them off the drum card. That's cool. So there's Lizette and Kimberly on Facebook, and Dijon is on YouTube. So I'm talking to all of you at the same time. So I believe Kim, we're talking about fires in California and shows being cancelled. And me trying to fill my time making more mugs. And I need to, maybe I need to make Rolex to get excited about spinning something. The thing is, I'm enjoying one of the spins that I'm doing on my wheel, but I'm not doing it often enough because it's a very slow changing gradient and I'm spinning super fine on the Sparrow. So it feels like I'm just spinning one color forever, and that's why it just feels like I'm not making any progress, and that's why I don't feel like going to it that often. Oh yeah, and you're from Philly, and there the flooding is going on. Yeah, there's something or the other going on everywhere. Yeah, I was hearing over the radio that even with in New York as well, there's still significant issues regarding the flooding and flash floods happening, the ground being saturated. Crazy, crazy times. So these are some of the lace mugs that I'm doing. That's what those look like. I have been out of them for quite some time, so it's time to add them to the inventory. I need to. Where is that? Only I could find the sponge in the studio. Oh, I found this. Why am I flattening the impression with a braille? Good question. So what I'm making is I'm making mugs, right? And the thing is that the texture runs all over from edge to edge. But if you're drinking from a mug, you really want the lip portion from where you're drinking from to be very smooth. Otherwise, you will be dribbling all that coffee over your clothes and over your chin, and that's not fun. So it's very important that you know the lip portion, which is going to be the top portion, is nice and smooth and has a nice curvature to it, so it is comfortable to drink from. If it's very textured, then it doesn't work. So that's the reason why I'm trimming them, which is a very important thing I need to do every time I make these. So what I'm essentially doing is I am flattening the top part of it, and it looks like I'm doing an inch or so out here, but part of it is going to get trimmed. But you can also see that after I flattened it up, it's not a straight. So it's not a straight line. It's kind of like very jaggedy because of the texture, and so I need to smoothen it out, make sure it's not that crazy, and then I trim off that excess so I have a nice flat line to deal with. So I almost cut off like a quarter of an inch. And then these slabs are prepped up slightly bigger than the actual template size so that I can get a nice actual dimension of the mug that I make. And then uh, this really helps in rounding off the rim, because whether texture or not, you don't want a very sharp edge on the top of your mug, otherwise you will cut your lip. So you don't want a bleeding lip, you don't want dribbling cups, and to take care of all those issues, I use that brayer. And now if you look at it, you know, it is a little rounded. It's not completely rounded because I'm going to round it up further when I'm actually making them up. But it's definitely smooth enough now that, you know, it's going to be easy to clean up. If it's all textured like this to the very top, you cannot really bring it from something like that. So that's the reason why. And no bleeding lip too. No bleeding lips. Yeah, I don't want my mugs to be that dangerous. These are not weapons in any way. Oh, looks like Casper is saying hi to the neighbor's dog. Can you hear her? Okay. Give us one more. Okay. Yeah, the lace pattern is one of my favorites too. The stock in it is obviously very popular. Excuse me. And the beauty of the lace pattern really comes after the glazing. It's kind of hard to see the details in the raw clay, but you can see the pattern. It's not really bad, but once it's glazed, because I put a wash over it and then wipe it off and then glaze the whole thing, it just makes the whole mug really nice. And because I do the wash and all of this, the lace mugs don't turn out exactly identical. Yes, and Lizette just sent me a picture of one of her cups. So, and she has one of my tumblers in the stock net pattern. And I don't have any of the finished lace mugs in stock, otherwise I would show you how they actually look after being glazed. I am completely out of stock on those. But after this filing, I know two of them are for orders, and I have six of them extra. So there'll be six cups at least up till now. Oh, you started your first woven piece today? Nice. Are you weaving it out of hand spun or commercial yarn? So people on Facebook or Twitch who are also hearing me, I'm also on YouTube at the same time. So I'm talking to people there. So you might not see their comments. You might be wondering who I'm talking to, but I'm not talking to myself. Yeah, the lace mugs, I really like the way they come out. Like those, like the stockinette mugs are kind of always like, I kind of know what they're gonna look like, but the lace mugs is always a surprise for me too. It's fun opening the kiln and seeing how they came out because they're always a little different. Oh, you're using handspun yarn? Nice. And I thought you said you have a rigid heddle um tabletop kind of look, right? I don't think you have a floor loom. As far as I remember, or, or I don't know whether we discussed that, but I have a feeling you have a rigid head for some reason. So Dijon is weaving with her handspun yarn. That's what she told me. Is That's what we are chatting about on YouTube, and it's gonna be interesting to see what she makes. When I was, helping my dad set up the tabletop loom, I was watching some of my old videos. So you have a rigid pedal 25 inch. 25 inches is quite a decent size, actually. It's almost as wide as this table. This table is 25 inches. Yeah, that's a nice size. So, so when I was, talking to my dad about weaving and stuff, and then I wanted to show him videos as to how my floor loom worked. So I just showed him my videos, which I was doing live last year, and I saw those, and I'm like, oh, I want to leave something on the floor room again. So maybe that might happen. Do I add the colors to your clay or do you buy it in the color styles? No, I make all my glazes myself, and the main reason is that I need to know what the ingredients are in my glazes. I there are a lot of good reputable glaze resources, but I kind of like to know my ingredients in the glaze. So I basically have like a basic clear glaze recipe to which I add additions, and I have done a lot of color tests over the years. And so I basically come to my five basic glazes: the honey, which you have, um, the green, the blue, the gray, and the purple. And then I add more color accents. The color accents are commercial color accents that I add in, which are under glazes. So those get applied on the mugs first, and then I wash up, and then I apply my regular glazes. But the main glazes I make all myself in house, and they're all actually under this table here. So I keep them all in 5 gallon buckets, and because I have five glazes, I have five of them. Five buckets plus an additional three buckets. I have also a white. I have a clear. I keep a clear as well, which I'm hoping to use in a particular mug coming up. Secret. And then there's gonna be, and I have a black as well. I used to use the black in my earlier work. I don't have a heart to throw it away, so it's there. I have not used it in my work in a very long time ago. But I do have a black lace as well. It doesn't show texture at all. It just covers everything. It's like a solid black. Just covers everything. I used to use it on the inside of mugs, so that was kind of nice. So it used to give a very different look, when the inside of your mug has a different color, like that rich dark black color, and the outside had my bright colors. But then it also got to being a lot more work because now you have to glaze two different colors for every mug. And time is always hard to come by. Okay, so you saw that pile. There was 8 mugs, 8 of the lace mugs, 2 of them are spoken for, so 6 extras. And again, back to plain stuff. Yes, that used to look very dramatic, and I those mugs were also neat, but that was all before the stockinette pattern and all came in. That was actually when I was throwing on the wheel. It was not even when I was hand building. Would you like to see one of my old pieces, which is glazed like that? I still have one mug. Let me get it. Are you ready? So this is one of my old thrown mugs. I used to throw them on the wheel and I used to alter them so that they'll have a lot of movement in them. And I always had like slight notch around here. I used to have a stamp around here. I used to decorate with slip. That way, you see, black on the inside, and then that pattern on the outside. Do I have the paisley pattern? Yes. In this round, I am doing the Paisley Pattern mugs as well. I'm doing 6 of them only. That's what I prepped the clay for. So if I do have, I do have a honey one in the Paisley Pattern. Let me see if I can bring that up. It's in the garage right here. So currently in stock in the Paisley Pattern, that's the only one I have. It's the honey one. Which one do you want to buy, these? Are you the one asking me? Who was asking me? I think Liz was asking me about the Paisley Pattern, right? No, Kimberly was asking me about that, yeah? So yeah, Kimberly, this is the only honey one I have right now with the paisley designs on it, and it has a red accent on it. You can see the patterns all over. And then I'm going to have 6 more, and I'm just going to be randomly glazing them in any color. But if there is a particular color you would like, if you place a made to order, then I can glaze it in the color that you want. You want to buy my older mug? No, you can. It's my old used mug, and it stays in my kitchen. It's the only one I have from that generation. And to give you an idea how old this mug is, with my first show, I got the house 2004. This is 2005. So this mug is 16 years old and is still residing in a kitchen. And it is still in great shape and goes in the dishwasher every time. So yeah, the bluish green is fun, the shape is fun, and I used to texture the bottom of my mugs as well. So was my stamp the same? See, my stamp was different as well. I used to do like a CS initial. I used to stamp it that way rather than, my full name like I do it right now. But this was one of those days. Yes, oldie but a goodie. I know. As much as it would be nice, I would be like, yes, go ahead, buy. More money is always good. Shows are getting cancelled. I need to sell months, but some things are too special to part with. So I'm sorry. And I cannot even tell you I'll make you one because I'll have to relearn how to throw mugs like that. So that is from my early days. I think the second show I had done is when I had introduced those mugs. Purples, blues, and reds. Okay. Yeah, Kimberly. I do the purple glaze. You can go on my website, creativewithclay.com, and if you look at the paisley pattern mugs, you can see the ones that I do. Like I don't do a full red. I do the honey with a red accent, uh, and then I do like the blue and green. I do a purple. The purple I usually put like black color accents on it, so it looks good. Yes, Lizette, I did see. Didn't I tell you that I just saw the picture of the mug you sent me? I did see it. See, I opened my phone right there. And thank you for putting it in your live sale. Is this the Wafa sale that you're doing? I need to sign up to do another one of those. I didn't do any of those this year. But we'll see. Oh, the Paisley pattern is only pattern you don't have. Yeah, I'm going to be actually rolling out, trimming out those slabs next after I'm done with this part. So you'll get to see all the patterns on the Paisley ones. The Paisley ones, I call them Paisley in general, but they are kind of like the embroidery pattern ones. Some of them don't even have Paisleys on them, honestly. But you know, uh, usually if I know somebody who's placed an order, like I know who you are, and I know how, if you're on Facebook and something and we're connected through that, I usually send a picture of, hey, if you order, like, say, a purple one, I will send you a picture of the two or three purple ones that I came out from the kiln and ask you to choose. And I think we did that when you ordered the color stripe mugs recently too, right? So yeah, the wafer sales are good, and I really appreciate you plugging my tumbler in that sale. So I'm going to try to, I might try to sign up for a wafer sale thing. I always get the, you know, yeah, it's always a struggle to figure out how much of effort should I put in and everything, and then because when you know there is no physical audience in front of you, it is like, or you're just unsure whether there'll be people watching or whatever. It's very hard to get prepared for something like that. And I know that, and I have had some good sales online when I did that Wafa sale, so I most likely should. So I'm going to be trimming. I have another 5 more mugs out here, and I'm going to be trimming the Paisley pattern ones next. So you can have a look at all the patterns that are going in this next file. I have 8 pieces in there. 2 of them are again spoken for, of a particular pattern I was spoken for. But if you like that pattern, I can roll up some slabs in that pattern as well. And you can tell me which color you would like. So that is always an option. How is the quilting going? Are you still quilting, or are you taking a break from the quilting, or just in the fabric collection mode? Because I'm kind of in that fabric collection mode. Plus, I'm also working on one quilt which is really throwing me in all kinds of different directions, which is also fun, but it is also challenging in a way. But it's also the interesting part of doing improv because you don't know what's going to happen. Like, I kind of want to have a plan for it, but then I want to be surprised by it as well. So that's why I have to throw in my plan every now and then. But this one is just keeps throwing me around and around in circles. And hopefully, when I do get on my sewing machine next time, I go live, and you can see my struggles. You're taking a, but you'll be turning your weaving into a bag. That's good. So I don't know if I shared this, but the reason why I actually started quilting was actually to figure out how to sew my hand woven pieces together. I know it seems like, why would you learn to quilt in order to do that? The reason is that I did have a sewing machine at home and I had hardly used it. I'd used it like once to hem something, and the plan was I'll just get it from Costco and I'll return it after I've hemmed it if I like. And I did it, and then my mother-in-law was visiting, and then she made pillows, and she taught me a little bit more about how to use the machine. And I was like, okay, maybe I can do something with the machine, so I'll keep it. It seems like a good thing to have. And it just sat there for almost 2 years without doing it. And then I did I did all the hand woven stuff last year, and I felt that I needed to learn how to sew pieces together in order to make something out of the hand woven fabric I was making. So, in order to, I was too afraid to sew up my hand woven pieces. So, I was like, you know what, I'm going to just take some pieces of cotton and sew them together. And then I thought to myself, what is the point of, you know, sewing pieces together from no particular reason? And then it struck me that, you know what, I should learn how to quilt, because quilting is just like sewing small pieces together. It'll give me an idea of how to use the machine and all of that. And that's what started last year, as to let's do a little bit of quilting just to figure out how to sew up woven pieces together. Oh yes, you should totally quilt when I do a live quilt. That'll be fun. I wonder if we can do like a Zoom thing together or something too, because it'll be nice to have some company. I did join that Brave Pack school, and we have a sew circle out there, but I also keep wondering as to how noisy should it be. You know, it's like you have your sewing going, and you have your ironing station there, and the design board there, and the cutting board somewhere else. It's like, I don't know how it goes. Oh, you started sewing before anything else. That's interesting. Yeah, for me, sewing has been the last thing I touched. And actually, last year, before I even started the quilting process, I had I my friend got me interested in English paper piecing. Like, it looked really interesting. Plus, you know, the pandemic had just started, and was like, oh, we have to sit at home for a month. So let's start a new hobby. That month has turned into almost 2 years now. So, and that project which I had started with the English paper piecing, that's still going on. It's still not done. Oh, you have a quilt that you need to finish for your brother. That's nice. Yeah, the quilt I'm working on currently is it's all blues and purples. I don't know if you saw my Instagram or my Facebook post. It's like that. It's like a wonky hourglass kind of thing that I've made with all blues and purples, prints and solids mixed, because I kind of wanted to use all the fabrics that I had in some sort of cohesive way. And so the plan, to give you an idea about what this Brave Patch and the improv quilting is about, if you want to hear, I can talk about it. I'm not giving away any. No, it's the stuff that's there in the book and everything. Oh, you started spinning during the pandemic? That is interesting to know. I didn't know you were such a fairly new spinner. So regarding the improv quilting, so the process essentially is like there are different exercises in the book, and this is the book by Sherry Linwood, and she's quite the master in improv quilting, and her book is amazing, because it's not so much as here, this is how you make quilt 1, quilt 2, quilt 3, quilt 4. No, it doesn't work like that. There are kind of like these exercises, and then it's kind of like it gives you clues. It's like a mystery almost. It tells you like, okay, these are the parameters you have, and go make a quilt using these criteria, and just let the pieces and the joining and stuff take you places. And and then you keep working towards that. So an example of that was the floating squares one that I did, which was this exercise where you take two different fabrics, two different colored fabrics, and you cut random squares out of them. No measuring, big, small, different size squares, no ruler, just with your rotary cutter or just scissors, and cut up random squares. And then you start joining the squares to each other. And because the squares are a different size every time, you'll need to add some additional fabric. For that additional fabric, just use one particular color. For every time to, whenever you are trying to add squares, just add one of that same color every time. And keep building blocks, make the blocks bigger, then add a bigger block to another block. Again, there won't be the exact size, so you'll still need to add more filler fabric. So it kind of develops very organically. So you kind of don't have an idea from the very beginning as to how exactly it's going to turn out. And that's what the exciting part is. So there are different exercises like that. So the floating squares one was like that green and purple and orange one that I had done. This was a small piece. And I really kind of like, because there are, a lot of surprises along the way. You might think you have a plan, but then doesn't work. And then you think you might have another plan, and it just changes because the pieces just fall out in a certain way. Then I did the one which was very colorful with the pinks and the turquoise and the purples and all those shades happening. And that was also along the same lines. That was more about strips. So you just cut long strips, join them together, and see how they fit. And my plan was, oh, I'll just make all horizontal lines out of it. But once I cut up the pieces and stuff, I found the horizontal lines joining, and they just didn't look right. Oh, oh yes, you did send me a link to the class. The pieces are not square and irregular shapes. Yeah, so there are these different exercises. So like I said, like the other one was stripes, which I did, but then I started then taking some of those stripes and placing them vertically, and then some horizontally, and some mixing and matching. Some I cut in between and did something else, because I felt that's what the piece was calling out for. So, and then this third exercise I'm doing started off with, she's like, the exercise was about picking your favorite block and just doing it over and over again, using a different way of doing it rather than traditional ways of doing the block. And again, cutting them without a ruler, different sizes, don't measure anything, just keep making the same style block again. So that's what I'm doing, the blue and purple ones. And again with that, okay, oh, so Dijon, these are the embroidery Paisley pattern ones. That's one of the patterns. So I usually paint a different color in the small dots in the Paisleys in that. So coming back to the improv, what I had thought was I would do half square triangles and like just make a bunch of half square triangles, different sizes, cut along a curve, not necessarily perfect triangle. My squares are not going to be perfect squares, they're going to be kind of curvy or irregular, but essentially half squares. I made a few and I found them to be quite boring, so I cut those in half again and made basically another half square triangle, which results in like this hourglass kind of shape, very irregular. So I said, okay, that's this kind of block I like, so I'm just going to keep repeating it. And that was my main reason. I said, in that exercise, I said, pick your favorite block. And I'm like, I don't have a favorite block. I just started quilting, so I have no idea where to start from. But I had not done triangles before, so I said, okay, let's start from there. So currently I'm at the point where I've made a bunch of those hourglass pieces, and that's where the thing is. I thought I'll just take those, and similar to the floating squares, I would just join these hourglass blocks in different ways. And I did that, and that's the picture I posted on Instagram. But I'm going like, okay, I didn't like that too much. It just looks too busy and too crazy, and it wasn't looking that much fun. So, so the next thing I did was, I was like, okay, let's space them away from each other. So that was my next step, which I really liked, where I've now kind of separated them so no two blocks are touching each other. So I like that, but I currently don't know what to fill inside that space. Plus, there is still, like, all the fabric I've used is a mix of print and solids. So I still feel they all need to come together in some way. And I currently don't know how exactly that's going to happen. Um I did think about, I actually even purchased fabric for it. Uh, and I tried doing it, but I'm still not sure. Yeah, and so I've now added like a thin green border, a bright chartreusey green around the purple and blue blocks. And I feel that same chartreusey green around all the blocks will kind of give that idea as to how we'll kind of bring it all together, which I think might still work, but I still need a background color to go with it. Okay, John, here's the next one. This is one of my favorite and one of my very first patterns of Paisley's pattern that I used to do. This is the one which started it all. It's kind of like my stocking. Cannot get rid of it. Yeah, so that's what it is. So now I'm at the point where I have put the green border. I've not posted pictures of the green border yet. Oh, I have it on my phone. Maybe I could show it on the phone. So, okay, so can you see this? So that's how it was, like different hourglass with the blues and purples. And so when I separated them out is what I kind of like more. And I kind of like it with just that design wall gray. And I'm like, okay, that's good, but it would be still kind of nice to bring it together somehow. So then the green border, I just added it to one piece, that one piece in the middle there. It's not showing up very bright, it's a lot brighter. And I'm thinking that is that going to be too much green added all over the quilt, but I'm not sure. So, so this is one of your favorites so far. Okay, keep track. Then you can let me know. So I have two of those patterns, two of this pattern, and I have two of another pattern. So those are the 6 mugs that will be, and this pattern too, it's different on both of them. So if you tell me like this particular pattern, I can just glaze both of them in that one particular color, and you can choose whichever you like once they come out from the kiln. Oh, your brother's quilt is similar to that. Too much green. Yeah, see, that's what I'm thinking, that whether it's gonna become too much green in that. But at the same time, I feel that it might kind of bring it together rather than it being all over the place. I'm feeling a little bad that I purchased all that green fabric and now I'm not gonna use it. I didn't get a lot, I got like a yard and a half. That's good. And I've not joined all the pieces together. So I just joined like two blocks with a green border. And I'm going like, I don't know where this is going. It's not what I thought it was like some kind of stuff. I also thought what I would do is maybe add a green border to five or six pieces and then take them to to the shop and find the background fabric or that kind of idea. Do my hourglasses have a print on them? Yes. So all the hourglasses are a combination of a print fabric and a plain fabric. So if the print is a purple, then the plain is a shade of blue, and if the print is a blue, then the plain is a shade of purple. So a solid purple. So it's always like a print combined with a solid. That's how I have done that. But yeah, it's the hourglass. That's why it looks like that. But it's all done in blues and purples. So and I've made enough of them to make like that by themselves. I really like them how they are. It's just the overall look of the thing is I'm still kind of not totally certain. Like do I do that chartreuse green border or not? And I should send you that picture while I'm at it. Search green. Okay, I send you an Instagram. So I send you an Instagram message with the picture of that of all those blocks, but like two of them have like a green border on them. So the green I'm planning to do as the border for the hourglasses. Why I don't know. Yeah, the separated squares definitely looks better than all the squares together. But I'm wondering if I need a green border to the squares or not. Maybe I don't, but I don't know what background to do. So that's what I'm saying. So this is another one of the Paisley patterns, but that's similar to the first one. They're still slightly, they're actually quite different, but they have that same kind of very intricate pattern. This is the other one, which has more negative spacing. So that's how that works. So that's going to be the third pattern. And I do two of each pattern where I make it these. So the green border I've done on the hourglass, I feel in one way I think it looks cool that it gets that nice pop of color, but I think sometimes that it's just way too much pop of color for the whole thing. And it's not going to be so thick. Ooh, a red border. Hmm. I didn't even think about red. That might not be bad. I'm always fond of red. And I do have some red with me, which I can test it out with. So that's interesting. I'm going to try the red too. The whole question remains, and what do I do the background? So my plan was to do some shade of gray. So even the chartreuse green that I have, I had first planned to do a solid one, but the solid green chartreusey line colors or whatever we saw at Joann's, nothing worked well with the squares. But this is like almost a very fine print, which gave like a shade of a darker chartreuse. So I kind of like this, so I got that. But either a very fine print red or even a solid red, I'm gonna try with that. And then I think for the overall background, maybe a gray would look better then. There's a lot of red in my prints. Do you think so? I, I don't think there was. Yeah, there are some pinks. There are some pinks and reds. You're right. And my purple is like a pinkish purple rather than a purple purple. I get that. But these are like only half the squares. There are a lot more squares as well. So yeah, I see what you're saying where there is quite a bit of red in my blocks. Hmm, red or burgundy. Yeah. So like I was saying, this is the part about improv, which is like, this whole exercise started with um, half square triangles and it turned into hourglass, and I was like, hourglass, maybe you need a border or no. Yeah, I made around 75, yeah, 75, 80. I think I have 80 of those blocks right now. So it's going to be a decent size block. But they are all kind of in like same color family. But they are all scrappy, so they are all mixes of purples and blues. And that's what it is, because it's such a mix. With some of them the green looks great, and with some of them the red might look great. See, that's the other thing I could do. I could do some with the red and some I could do with the green. We're doing improv. Doesn't matter. But again, I don't want it to go too crazy, because I kind of have that tendency of just going all over the place. Or maybe that's just my style. It's just throw in all the colors and make it work. So, oh, this is the other pattern I have, but this is actually for the custom order, and I'm actually making something else of it. Okay. Uh, this are required for the lidded jars. So this, another option, I just have to roll more slabs if you like this. This is the other, yeah, this has some floral patterns and some pieces. So this is something that someone specifically ordered, and that's what I'm working on for her. And these are going to be lidded jars. So their template is slightly smaller, and I have rolled them out a little thicker than my mugs, because these aren't mugs. Yeah, and it means all the colors means there is still some control I have about it. Like in my previous one, which had all the pinks and turquoises and everything, I was like, it doesn't have orange. So you like this pattern the best? They're gonna make me do extra work, right? And you're like, no, roll some extra slabs for me. Fine, I can do that. I know I have to roll some extra slabs for some big jumbo mugs. So, and you like the 16-ounce mug size, right? If I remember correctly. Or am I getting confused? You like the jumbo size? I know Jerry switched to the jumbo size. No, don't apologize. I need to roll more slabs anyway. What is it, Casper? So I need to roll out some jumbo mugs. If you want it in the jumbo size, I can do it in the jumbo size as well. Because I still need to roll out mugs for the big jumbo. Ooh, like that in jumbo. Perfect. See? And did you have a glaze preference? So let me show you one piece. I don't know if I'm just creating more work for myself by showing you that piece, but I want to kind of show you what these two pieces are for. Um, this is basically how that pattern looks when it is glazed. This is that pattern in green, and I've put some red and black accents on that one. And these are the lid pieces, so the lids have pattern on it too. Uh, and this is how it looks like in the honey with the red. This is red and black accents. So decorated lids. And is it in a tray? This is a custom order. I have. This is a custom order which I made for my mom. Hello, I'm glad you like it. There is scaredy turtle. So that's the set. So I made this for my mom because she can custom order whatever she wants and in the colors she wants. And someone saw them and they said, well, I want that, but I want that in green and blue, so I'm making that other set for them in green and blue. So I can do them in gray, I can do them in purple as well. And if you want the jumbo size, I can do the jumbo size now, which is a 20-ounce size now. I can do that with that pattern. But let me know. Yeah, that's for cream and sugar. Well, that's my mom wanted both of them for putting tea leaves and sugar. So one will have tea leaves and one will have sugar. So they both are kind of like that. But yeah, sugar and creamer is what ideally one would use it for. But she didn't want one for cream and sugar. She's like, I want one for my tea and one for my sugar. So that's what she's gonna do. So it was fun making that for her. Her birthday was on 1st August and it was ready by 1st August. But I still haven't shipped it to her because I'm just procrastinating about packing that because it has a tray in it, and I hate packing things with trays in it because I'm always afraid they'll break. And I have shipped and they haven't broken, but there's that fear that it might happen. So I just need to bite the bullet, and tomorrow, most likely tomorrow, I should. Yeah, black leaf tea. That's what she likes to drink. Well, not she, my dad likes to drink that. So she's like, oh, we would just like to have it sitting on the counter rather than my dad reaching for the cabinets every time. I don't know what her logic is for having it this way, but it's what she wanted. You don't question your mom, right? Just say yes, mother, and do it. And she was very specific that she wanted a tray to go with it as well, not just two jars, which is what I had said. I said, fine, I'll make two jars. You want three, I'll make three. She's like, no, I need two jars and I want a tray to go with it. And amazingly, I had made the tray thinking, so one of them is honey and one of them is green. Those are the two colors she liked. And I had thought I will do the entire tray in either honey or the entire tray entirely green. I'll show you something interesting, right? So this is how I have displayed it. So the honey pot sits on the green side and the green, and I think it looks great this way. But you swap them over and they kind of look very boring. It kind of just makes them like it looks like a very flat and boring piece. And so when I made it with the intention and glazed it with the intention to be like, okay, honey side of the tray will have the honey part, green side of the tray will have the green part. But you swap it and it looks so much more fun. And another thing which is her option if she wants to do is she can swap the lids too. So you can have this whole green and gold mix going if you like. But I know the confusion is going to be is where is the sugar? And if my mom tells my dad it's in the green pot and he'll go for the green lid, so that might always be a confusion. So maybe keeping the same color for the jar and the lid is probably a good idea. But just placing them on the opposite corner, I think brings them together so much more. So I really like such things that happen, unless you don't have the piece in front of you, you cannot really plan it. Which is so much like improv, right? See, that's I'm telling you, in the world, whatever we do, everything is just so connected. Like I find my whole process of making pottery, right? My hand-built mugs and everything. Now that I'm quilting more and more, it feels so much like a similar process where I have a template. I cut it to the same size every time so that I don't have enough wastage. I extrude the same width every time. So it's like same thing with fabric. You kind of cut in a certain way so that you don't have extra wastage. So yeah, see, I would totally swap the lids too, but I know what's going to happen in my house, at my parents' house, when the lids get switched. That's the thing they're going to argue about the most. You told me it's in the green, and you told me it's in the honey one, but that has sugar in it. That doesn't have the tea in it. So it's like I know they will be safe if they kept the same lid and the same container together, but I think it does look much cooler if the lids are swapped as well. But that's up to them. It's up to them. They might just put the honey pot on the honey side and the green on the green side. even though I told her swap the position of the jars. Well, we'll know what she does only once she receives these, so I should get these packed up and shipped tomorrow. Yes, and you try to get as many pieces out of the fabric. That's true. That's the reason why, like earlier, I used to just slice slabs out of the big bag of clay, roll it out. But if I just wanted to make mugs, there would be so much wastage around. So that would be like your scrap fabrics, right? So I used to make the small round dishes from it and all kinds of other things from it just to make use of it. But the problem with that is that it's not always efficient because you have to deal with the scrap fabric, right? Like it's another thing. Like what you currently need is just pieces for, like I need pieces just for my mugs. I don't want to deal with the scraps right now. But if I do have the clay scraps, yes, I can make something out of it, but it's not like fabric that I can just store it and use it later. I have to make those small round dishes right then and there because the clay dries and then I have to recycle it. So I used to always struggle with that, that I'll end up wasting so much time making those small dishes that I cannot make the number of mugs that I really need to get made for a particular order or for the next firing because I'm spending all the time using up the scraps. So then I started extruding my clay. So I extruded like a 3.5 inch width long strip, which is kind of like a jelly roll in a way, a wider jelly roll. And then I can get, I extrude it to 24 inches. I can get two mugs out of that and with zero wastage. It's kind of like wastage like this. It's just strings, which I just recycle. So it feels so much like the process of quilting, where if you want the scraps, yes, do it like that. But because in this case, I really didn't want the scraps because it takes up so much time using up those scraps. You just prep your clay or your fabric in such a way that you'll end up using every bit of it for what you need. So, so like if you wanted blocks which were like 3 inches wide, you wouldn't cut a 5 inch block because yes, you can use the extra 2 inches for something, but it's something you have to deal with, right? So, so many similarities, and so that's the reason why it kind of feels like we all develop this process of how we work, and it translates so much from one medium to another. Oh, haven't you seen me extrude clay? It's quite an exercise. I have a wall extruder, and basically I take my bag of clay and put it in that, and then I extrude these slabs, which are like slightly wider than 3.5 inches and 24 inches long. Yeah, you spend hours a day cutting scraps into 2 to 3 inch squares. Yeah, and see that's what I kind of when I first started with quilting, right, I kind of kept reading about how people store their scraps and what they make out of their scraps. And I kind of really like this idea of taking my scraps and cutting them to a particular size. And the theory being that, people were just using those scraps and, you can just join all the 2 inch pieces or the 3 inch pieces or combine them together and make some kind of quilt. uh, I like that idea, but then the more I keep looking into improv quilting and stuff, in that it's kind of nice to have scraps in their scrappy shape and size, because you're not cutting anything by a ruler. And I did first initially cut up some of the fabric scraps I have into perfect squares, and I'm kind of like, when I want to use them in my improv quilts, I'm going like, but they're cut into such perfect squares. I kind of want them all randomly stuff. So, you know, so right now I'm just storing all my scraps by color, and they're all different sizes. Um, I've kind of developed a system to store my fabric. Um, I'm putting on my uh, anything greater than a yard or so is, just folded up and kept aside. That's just, more extra fabric that I have for stuff. Can be used for backing or for just bringing an entire quilt together. And then the other thing, I don't know what you found so funny. I'm so serious about storing my scraps, you have no idea. I don't know if did I tell you that when I started quilting and I was looking for scraps, I was telling a friend of mine, or maybe I must have even told you about it, that I think the one thing I really want to do is just organize the scraps and call it a day. Like, not even use them. I just want to develop a system that works for me, and then maybe not even use the scraps. So I just want to play with them. And so so 1 yard plus fabrics is not scraps. That just gets folded and kept aside. Fat quarters also, I'm keeping them separately. So anything that's a fat quarter, if it's bigger than a fat quarter, it goes into my big yardage. Okay. And then so if it's a fat quarter, it stays as a fat quarter separately. That's a separate storage system. And then anything less than a fat quarter, uh, but greater than 1 inch. So if it's like a 1 inch strip or something, then that goes into the strip pile. So it needs to be at least 1 inch by 8 inches to go in a strip pile. Otherwise, it's all going into the scrap. And that's going all color coordinated. Now, if something is less than 1 inch and less than 8 inches too, that's going into the crumb pile, where that's just crumbs, and that's getting into like, that's the real scraps, which is I just pick them up, play with them, sew them on the adding machine tape, and make 3-inch strips out of it. That's just like play fabric. I can do anything with. So um, I think once you designate a kind of space and all, and a way to put everything in a particular way, it's not too hard to manage. But I don't have that much to manage, so so far it feels very possible to deal with. So it's kind of very much like how salvage strip piles. So I told you I have the strip piles as well. The strip piles are separate. So strip pile, anything that is 1 inch or less in width and at least 8 inches long, that goes in my strip pile. So my strip pile is actually very narrow. I'm not going for anything more than an inch. I'm still putting it in my regular style. Oh, my poor Casper. Oh, you're talking about salvage strip pile. So you're talking about the salvages of the end of the fabric. Now, see, those have not been stored. Those have been trashed. I did see a video recently of somebody making stuff out of those, and I was like, okay, no, I'm not going there. I That's just one other thing I'll have to store. Yeah, even I cut that off, but I cut it off to trash it away. I'm not saving it yet. Like I said, I recently saw a video of it, and I was like, no, 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 stop watching right now because then I'll get like first of all, I don't have any major yardage fabric. All I have is scraps and fat quarters, and they barely have any salvages in them. I know some of them are very pretty, but I'm like, no, right now I'm just comfortable. I especially like it with like I have some Moda fabric ones which have those nice they have the dots of the different colors that are used in the fabric. I really like those honestly. And so you know how YouTube keeps recommending stuff based on the videos you watch. I've been watching Scrappy and improv videos, and also obviously they have to show me here. This is what you can do with salvage stripes, and I was like, no, stop showing me that. Yeah, you're thinking Moda too. Yeah, they have some really nice salvage strips. So actually, I kind of like their salvage strips more than the fabric because the fabric is very Christmassy, but it's not like in your face Christmas. It has like Christmas ornaments in it, but the pattern is so busy that it could even read non-Christmassy from a distance. But the salvage strips of that are really nice. I really like the colors that put in that fabric. It's like this burgundy red with some green and some gold, yellowish color, but it's like a very detailed print, but very small and tiny print as well. So that was the last month. 18 months, no, 18 months, how much? 48 months were all trimmed this afternoon, and it's 1 hour 36 minutes to do it with a lot of chatting. It's not bad, but it is what it is. So I'm gonna sign up, take care of all this clay. This all will get recycled, so that's always a good thing. I don't end up wasting any clay. Ooh, I have accidentally used the back side of my fabric as the front, so I'm not going to tell where, but it has happened. I'm just going like, still looks good. And with batiks, I cannot. With batiks, honestly, I cannot even tell. Sometimes which is the front or the back, so many people cannot. Yes, I have seen tulip in pink fabric. That has some fun prints, and I was recently looking at some, English paper piecing, and somebody was using the tulip pink fabric, and I was like, yeah, with all that fussy cutting and all, it looks pretty amazing. But all that clay from 48 months, not bad. That's probably, I would say, around 3 pounds of clay. Yeah, I like tuliping. I like K Facet. I love his colors. I love his prints and everything. I don't have any of it yet. But I keep thinking. But I'm really trying to build my stash for solid fabrics. Um, I I do gravitate towards the printed stuff, but because it lands up being too much of print on print on print, um, I have to have a closer look at the fabric. to see how it works for improv. But that's what the thing is. It's like I can, when it becomes too much print on print on print, it just looks too busy. And because improv, at least the way I tend to kind of work with the fabrics, it kind of looks too busy. I've been thinking about switching it, and I've been adding some solid fabrics to that. And so that and I have like, I don't have much solids, so that's why I'm kind of trying to add those into my stash, because I think it kind of helps to balance the madness. So at least that's what I think. Once I have them, use them, I might realize no, I actually don't care for them. So we don't. We have fat quarters of her fabric, yeah, or K facet. We're talking about Tula fabric, I think. Yeah, I need to. I have fat quarters, and yeah, semi-solids work very good too. Right. So I have some semi-solids like grunge. Is that what they call it? Grunge or grudge? Something, I don't know. But yeah, tone on tone kind of stuff. That also works nice as a solid. And some of those print fabrics, which also kind of read solids, that's also kind of nice. But most of what I have is like very printy fabric. So it just lands up looking too busy. Like I sent you the picture, right? You can see in that. It's just there's so much print on print on print that it makes your eye just revolve around the whole place. Anyway, I shall get going. My feet are killing me, and I need to take a break. Tomorrow, I will be making the mugs out of all those slabs that I prepared. So, uh, jumbo mug in that floral paisley pattern for you. That's what I'll roll out slabs for, most likely tonight or tomorrow, and then have those ready as well along with this. Sounds good. And then once you decide on what glaze you want, you can let me know. But I will get some mugs in those when I'm doing the jumbo mugs tomorrow. So that works out perfectly. All right. Good night. Bye.